because in reality, nothing can hold us back as long as we know how. So, again, so let's go to our next slide. You see, some people are thermostats, but others are thermometers. Those who are thermometers, they operate from external forces. Somebody tells them you can't do it. Then they also say, "Oh yeah, that's right, I can't. Oh, it's too difficult. I've never done it before." But if you are a thermostat, you set your own performance range. Why? Because your self-image allows you to. So you set your performance level to how you believe you can.
Good day, everyone. Just yesterday, I was facilitating a session with future leaders, and we were talking about planning. And during that conversation, they had the realization that planning is extremely important for a leader. In fact, on a personal basis, we plan pretty well, maybe for our Christmas vacation or a trip to Singapore or Cebu. We make those plans very, very well. What it dawned on me also is how many of us actually plan for our lives? Do we have a plan for the next 5, 10 years? And fortunately, that's when I met Dina, her given name. But her friends insist on calling her Dinah, simply because she is a living dynamo. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody was watching. Dina Loomis is the founder and president of Southeast Asia Speakers, Trainers, and Bureau Incorporated, for short, the Speakers Bureau. And she is the group is the exclusive distributor and facilitator of Dr. Dennis Waitley's life-changing program, The Winner's Edge. Dinah, help me welcome to the virtual stage, Dina Loomis.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Indeed, my life changed so much after I discovered the winner's edge through Dr. Dennis Waitley. And this program is for all of you because everybody needs to have a plan for his life. You cannot just go from day to day, hoping something good will happen. And especially after the pandemic, that just does not hold water anymore. So when I think of the winner's edge, I think of the almost magical quality that was given to us by our Creator. We can all live a life without limitations. And for most people, they don't know what it means. You see, a lot of people don't realize they put so many limits on themselves. Now, why do I say we can live without limitations? And that was shown to me. So it's certainly a possibility for as long as you learn how. See, first of all, we need to understand that limits are real. They're physical. For example, I don't think I can become a fashion model. I'm not tall enough. That's real. But to say, for example, I have a very poor memory. I cannot remember people's names. You know what? We all have perfect memories. We just need to trigger our mental powers. And again, this will be shown. The techniques to bring this out from each of our participants will be shown during the 2-day workshop. So let's move on to indeed. Most people, they allow things, etc., to hold them back. Like, oh, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough education. I'm too tall. I'm too short. I'm too dark. I'm too white. Really, you can just think of almost an endless excuse for not moving forward. So take a second thought again, because in reality, nothing can hold us back as long as we know how. So again, so let's go to our next slide. You see, some people are thermostats, but others are thermometers. Those who are thermometers, they operate from external forces. Somebody tells them you can't do it. Then they also say, "Oh yeah, that's right, I can't. Oh, it's too difficult. I've never done it before." But if you are a thermostat, you set your own performance range. Why? Because your self-image allows you to. So you set your performance level to how you believe you can. Again, this will be shown in our 2-day workshop. So we can move on. A lot of people get so frustrated that they can never perform the way they desire. Why is it? Many times people will say, "Oh my gosh, I failed again. Oh, I was so bad at it." Here's how you can correct that tendency. By the way, it is a common tendency. Simply by following what Dr. Dennis Waitley has told us in The Winner's Edge. Before you go to performance, pre-play either in your mind or with a chosen live audience, people you trust. Some people even use just pillows and pretend they are people and then practice their performance. After your performance, you replay in your mind and then ask yourself these two questions. What did I do best? And second, how can I do better? This allows you to incrementally get better and better with each performance. So we can move on. Many times we are offended by negative responses, but you see, the world is full of negative people, negative thoughts, negative people. And in fact, I had a friend. She didn't realize it until I really had to call her attention. I had to catch her attention because there was something traumatic that held her from her past. And as a result, she became bitter because of that bad experience in her life. And without realizing it, she kept on pointing only negatives to everyone around her until finally I could not help myself. I said, "I hope you don't mind. I'm passing on something I learned from Dr. Waitley in The Winner's Edge," because indeed we can change that negative habit of ours to always say the worst that we observe in people and things. So we can develop positive responses to negative remarks. Here's how. Somebody says, for example, "That idea will never work. We're not ready for it." Now you respond in a passive way. "I'm going to wait for more in-depth information before I decide whether it will work or not." You're not offending the person. You're just being passively positive. And let's go to the next one. You can be also actively positive. "Our management team knows more than we do. Therefore, I'm willing to give it a try." And finally, the third one is inclusive. "Well, what do you think we could do to make it work?" Now you are including the person who just gave you a negative remark. And that is very encouraging. And hopefully they will learn to do better next time. So we can go to this is what I would call one of the best features of the Winner's Edge, the almost magical autogenic training. And Let's see what will happen during the autogenic training. The next slide. You will all be put as participants in a completely relaxed state. And there's going to be soft musical background that's set to your heartbeat so that now you will more easily suggestions from the voice of Dr. Dennis Waitley. Later on, of course, during the participants forum, we will teach each one to record your own positive self-talk according to your set goals. And that is, again, so magical because when you wake up from this relaxed autogenic training, you feel fresh and ready for action and you feel like you can do anything. So let's go to this. For me, is the crowning glory at the winner's edge. Each one learns how to set goals properly. You cannot set long term, you cannot set life goals without going through first the primary goals. These are things you can do, you can accomplish right away or within 13 weeks. After which, the next step is our next slide is you will be able to develop the action steps necessary to achieve a life goal by, and let's look at the next slide, setting intermediate goals. So you can say, for example, I want to set up a trust fund for my retirement and for my children's college education. And then on to your life goal, to retire comfortably with all my children living independent lives. Isn't that something? Right? So now, how to help us achieve this, the goals that we'll be setting during the workshop, we have the help of the wheel of life. This will help us to balance in everything that we do. And of course, you can see that there are several, in fact, there are 8 areas of life that we do need to work on. And you will notice also there are spokes in each slice of the wheel. And that is to connect one spoke to another so that you know exactly where you are at that particular, your level of achievement in that particular area of your life. So let's take a look at the next slide. Here, you will be rating yourself. You'll be writing down today. All right. So you will connect the spokes and you say, oh no, this particular area, I'm only up to 20%. And in fact, I heard from Dr. Wakely that some of the participants of the Winners Edge in America were even millionaires, billionaires, and they were just so frustrated because, when they drew their wheel of life, it was like what we call a sharp sword all the way up 100% or more maybe for their financial life. And then they looked at the other slices of their wheel of life and they were way down. Even their family were neglected and even their social life, their spiritual life. And it was like, oh my gosh, how can we go through life if your wheel of life is not balanced? I mean, you can just imagine how can a wheel run if it has no balance by itself. So indeed, these are the things that you will learn as you go through the 2-day Winner's Edge program of Dr. Dennis Waitley. And by the way, when you graduate from the Winner's Edge, you become a win-win individual. You operate from the concept of only if you win do I win. You do not hurt others just to gain an edge. No, you would like to give your best and you would help the other person win, and then you win together. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the concept of the winner's edge, which I hope more and more people will get acquainted with, participate in, and let it work in your life.
Thank you, Dinah. That was enlightening, even though it was very short, a short description of the program you have. What I appreciated most is you can actually see things. You actually have to write things down. You actually have to put things in scale with a score. And, if we think about this, very few of us actually do this with our lives. We
Oh,
don't.
yes. Yes.
And in my experience, it's something that you also have to revisit because your life changes.
Oh,
Okay.
yes. Oh, yes.
Your life changes. So you could be like me, where, you're at a certain age, you've accomplished a certain amount of things, but yet you still
Thank
feel a
you.
little lost or something.
Thank you
Yes.
for mentioning that, Paul. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I just remember one of my partners for the Winner's Edge program in Cebu. Do you know what she does? Quarter, every 3 months, she reviews her wheel of life. And again, she makes adjustments. And you know what? During the pandemic, her her business was down and out and she had to make loans, etc. Guess what? She's now a millionaire. And I tell you, but it has not stopped her from improving her life. We want each participant to be guided how to write it properly. You may not realize it, Paul, that this is a common mistake among participants when they write down their exercises of the what to do, etc. Most of them would write in the future tense. Well, in the winner's edge, we know that that is out of reach. So we think, we speak, and we write as if it's already happening now. So all of the sentences, all of the goals we set it as if it's already happening now. And that starts the ball rolling. Yeah.
I really like that. All of us who watched Kung Fu Panda, they have, the past is gone, the future isn't here yet. But I'd like to also add, and this is something that I learned personally recently, that only the present is eternal. If you want eternity, it's only in the present, nowhere else. And I thought about it,
Yes.
it makes a lot of sense.
Yes. 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 And so, and of course, it's good. It's good to live in the present. But each person needs to look forward also to a better future. And that is why the winner's edge is, for me, critical in every person's success and happiness. Because you take care of the present, do not dwell on the past, and then look forward to a better future with the strategies that you will learn from the winner's edge.
Absolutely, Diane. Thank you so much for making time for this.